We are now recording of February 2nd, 2018, Small Business Accounting Advisors, Groundhog Day here out east, and out west in California, it's beautiful every day.
I heard Puxatawny Phil saw a shadow.
Yep. But you know what? Like I was telling everyone, the little rodent lies.
Yeah.
He looks kind of big to me.
Well, he was even shivering this morning. So cold, Punxsutawney. Poor guy probably wish they'd just leave him alone and let him in his den and sleep for a bit.
Where's that in relation to you? Puxatawny?
North of me, North Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
So up in the mountains.
Oh, okay.
It's a little colder up there than it does here. Not that it hasn't been like in the single digits here a lot this year.
Mm.
So,
yeah, the plantings that I do in the fall usually last all through winter. All my pansies and all that stuff, and even my other plants, they'll make it. You know. And this year,
no
even
way.
my little bushes that I've had for years are just, they look melted.
Uh-oh.
Because all the ice and snow that we had, and I'm like, oh boy, I don't know what's going to come back. I mean, they're supposed to be, a lot of them are annuals. They're supposed to come back. They're actually not supposed to come back, but usually we can squeak by. But it's a mess.
We'll keep our fingers crossed for you.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people like putting sheets and stuff over their bushes and stuff, and I'm like, that's a lot of work.
Well, I suppose it depends on how many bushes you have.
Yeah, right.
1 or 2 we could handle. 20 is a little different.
Yeah, that's a lot of sheets. Oh, man.
Okay, well, first up this week is Sara and 1099s. What can we do to keep from being 1099 burnt out by the end of January? What can we do during the year?
I've decided to, with our bookkeeping clients, it's not a problem if my bookkeepers are trained to do what they're supposed to do. It's the review clients.
Yep.
So
exactly.
We have monthly reviews, we have quarterlies, and then we have a handful of clients that come in once a year. And I say I'm going to meet with them in the fall and let's do a 1099 test and let's start reading W-9s and all, make sure everybody understands how to read W-9s and they don't have invalid ones on file and everything. But I did not do what I was supposed to do this year. So
Thanksgiving comes in and then Christmas.
Well, Christmas, it was like boom. It was like we had company and then it was Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then my TBX was late and I was working on getting it released, and all of a sudden it was like the 10th. So the one client, I'm thinking, all right, she's been a CFO for a couple of years now. Every year it's the same. Nothing's really changed as far as how to set up vendors and read W-9s and all that. It's like, how bad could it be? What I didn't know is they had hired a new AP gal who
didn't follow.
We're talking hundreds, in the hundreds.
Oh, wow.
I start testing. I'm like, so the first thing I saw was this is amazing. One thing that she did do was I teach them to type the W-9 information in the vendor name, and because I sort checks by vendor and then I read them, and so reading the vendor name tells me if it's been touched. Has anybody actually thought about the 1099 or the W-9? So if I see, and I always do last name first if it's an individual's name, so to prevent duplicates. So I'll have Smith, Bob, and then in brackets we'll have W-9 equals Corp or C. W-9 equals P for partner. W-9 equals, IND. Okay. And I can glance at that and know what kind of entity it is. If it said, so I saw all these inks flagged for 1099s. And I'm like, somehow she got in her head,
Everybody needs a 1099.
there was about 30 of those that I had to edit.
A couple years ago?
Yeah. Maybe she got mixed up in 2010 or something like that. It was like they threatened to do everybody. But all right, so I cleaned all those up. And then I would see W9 equals LLC. And I'm like, oh, that means nothing. So, so it's back to the drawing board on forget LLCs. Take them out of the equation. Just the IRS could care less about LLCs. We don't care. We only care about federal. So line 1 has to be a corporate name, a partnership name. That's it. Or an individual's name. It cannot be an LLC as an individual or an LLC, So what I was finding was, first I had to wade through all those, and then the client was really good about doing the names, really good about scanning and uploading the W-9s as they got them all year. Thing is, they're going into ShareFile. ShareFile doesn't give me any type. She names them. I can sort them. I can see them by the date that they come in. Anyway, I finally took the whole folder and dumped the PDFs on my computer, and then I could at least view them and sort them. It's really cumbersome when you have that many, and then. Right. I needed to start a new folder for the 2018 season. This is a big events company. So it's all new vendors. It's all new musicians. It's all new artists next year. So it's like another 100. So I had to deal with that. But so I had the dual monitors going, and fortunately she was in a Q box. But the embarrassing part is she's been giving me the W-9s all year, and she's in a Q box. There's no excuse. There really is no excuse for me not to test those anytime I want, So anyway, the end of the story is noon, 1 o'clock on the 31st, we're stuffing, and so what I have, 179, and then 6 that we could not get a hold of. And in the last 2 days, I've gotten half of those, and they're all corpse. Yes.
Nice.
So, put them on extension. But, the whole time I'm doing it, I'm just kicking myself. Because I created that stress. All I had to do was be proactive and deal with it earlier in the year. So the client doesn't need the stress of, oh my God, we have 1 week to get this stuff. They don't need it. We don't need it. And what I need to do is actually make it on the checklist of our monthly, quarterly, and then take the annual and make them quarterly to-dos. We'll do your bank rec. We'll look at this. We'll da-da-da-da. We will look at new vendors. We will read your W-9s. So that was another little thing on Facebook where people were like, well, I'm not going to read W-9s. I'm not going to. And I'm like, wait a minute.
How do you know if they're correct?
Our client, and I can't trust that it's in QuickBooks correctly. I have to actually witness the W-9. So that's the biggest change that we're going to do for 18 is anybody who's a review client, we're actually going to put it in their contract and on our smart sheet checklist, check the balance sheet, look for things in the wrong period, all those things that you do as part of your monthly closing. And one is, as we read the general ledger, because it's so easy. It's a lot easier to read a general ledger with 1 month and just keep an eye out. Keep them in the front of your mind. What new vendor? Here's a vendor, doesn't have my little bracket thing.
Right.
So, and then January doesn't have to be that hell.
But a lot of that depends on the client allowing you to do that. So if you put it in.
Well, the annual, like for instance, the annual clients used to pay me annually. I have over 10 hours in this. So I said to her, I think it'd be a lot more cost effective if we test a couple times during the year. And I also am going to work with, and this is another thing I just keep chatting about and I don't do, is write an ebook or something with screenshots.
Yes.
So there's little things that nobody knows but us. Like if you have a partnership, you can't put anything in the contact fields. I mean, you put, Joe Smith, it thinks this is an individual. Nowhere in QuickBooks does it say that. We know that because we go to print the 1099s and they're wrong. And through experience, we figure out that partnerships cannot have a contact information. I mean, that's ludicrous, but that's just the way it is. So, training and all that will really help. But we were really proactive the last 3 or 4 years, and it was awesome. And as soon as I broke my own rule, boy,
You paid for it this January.
I paid for it. But you're right. Do clients want to, how much more time does it take to add that to your chores as part of your monthly?
It's very time consuming.
It can be time consuming.
It is very time consuming.
That's where tools like Smartsheet make a difference, though, because my Smartsheet, I can say I have a section, W-9s, and I can say Joe Blow Smith or something LLC, and it's missing, and you fill it out and you forget it. You put the date that you asked and you forget about it.
Right.
But it's right there. It's one place where you can go and go, look, this thing's been missing for 2 months. We're getting close to year end, and so I don't know. But all the rest of my clients, I have all set fees now, so
Part of what you do.
we better have those. I'll lose my shirt. But anyway, but weren't there great questions though on some?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Some that made me go,
What? Right.
how about the one about bartering? That was interesting.
I didn't see the bartering one.
Mhm.
Oh, I know all about that because I used to get paid that way. And what's
I say-
really important with the bartering is
Bartering.
if you're any income you make bartering, it's $1 bartering is equal to $1 US dollar.
It's cash.
And
It's treated as cash. So what was it? A homeowners association let the guy do landscaping in exchange for his dues. So $3,600 in dues.
Yeah.
And surprise, he gets a 1099 for landscaping.
That's right. What he was supposed to. And he should then
supposed to.
pay tax on it.
Mm-hmm. Because so I'm sure he was a little shocked to know that. But if you think about the accounting behind it, they took the dues AR and wrote it off to, they would have to debit landscaping expense.
Before
Now, the cash basis,
Ways
the cash
actually.
basis, and they don't post anything,
Yep.
I'm sure they could get away with it, but it depends on the books or.
Yep, you don't want to do things that are non-compliant. Before, I want to interrupt for just a moment. Yvette is with us for a short while. She's got to leave shortly to go pick up her daughter. So happy to see you, Yvette.
Likewise.
You're doing so well.
I think about you guys all the time, and I tell myself, I gotta make time today. And so today I just said, you know what? I don't care what I'm doing. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna join because I miss you guys.
Thank you.
I do have to tell you that in my career, not having you guys in my career, in my journey, it wouldn't have been the same. All of you, my success, you guys are part of my success. I couldn't have done it without you. I feel very blessed that I am part of such a group. And you guys are not just my colleagues, personal friends of mine.
Yeah.
I know I don't see you guys that often. I know I don't talk to you guys that often, but I think about you every day. And part of the reason why I've been somewhat successful in my career is because of you. And I had to tell you that because I think about it every single day. Thank you so much for
You
sharing.
better pop back in again.
Yeah, I want to see you.
I'm gonna try at least twice a month. You know, it's so important for all of us to do this, you know. It helps stay connected to what's latest in everything, and just, you know, relating to these things. You know, like 1099s. I mean, the other day I really felt like got hit by a Mack truck like 10 times back and forth. So I was thinking about you guys. I gotta call them. I gotta talk to somebody, you know. But here I am, and I just wanted to stop by and say I love you all. Thank you so much. And
I want to see some of your art.
Oh yeah, don't worry. I go out
wait.
plein air once a week. Try to go once a week, you know, when I can with my instructor. I paint some decent paintings, not the best, but it's fun. And I love being outdoors and painting nature. It truly makes me feel very close
Nice.
to God, you know. But you guys, thank you so much. And I will definitely see you guys again and have a wonderful week, you know.
Same back at you. Love you.
Bye.
I love you guys. Take care. Bye.
Great seeing Yvette. Okay, Linda. We're going to talk about QBO versus QBD for someone in a Mac world.
Right. Well, if somebody has Macintosh computers and that's all they have, I have a client like that now, and it seems to me that QuickBooks Online is definitely the way to go, unless it's something we're really heavy inventory-wise. But this is not inventory. One is a restaurant. It's one client has a business, a restaurant that is open for breakfast and lunch, and then closes at 2 p.m. And then they have two other businesses, which are small convenience type stores, but they only sell to a government program called WIC program. And this, it's very specialized. It's for women and children, and it's to help women who have young children. Babies get formula and things like that for them, so they'll be healthy.
Proper nutrition for those that may be a little bit less fortunate.
Don't have a big income or anything.
Right.
And they're on the program. And it's good because you know you're going to get paid because it's the government. They give you their little coupons, their WIC coupons, and then you send them in and get reimbursed for what you get the money for them. So I haven't set those up yet, but I'm going to set them up.
But they're big Mac lovers, and they love their Mac, and
that's all they have. The house is just full of Mac machines, and their telephones are iPhones, you know, and that works. She asked me about using Mac desktop, and I suggested that would really be a waste because what we have is Mac desktop 2016. They will never improve it, and pretty soon, like in another 3 years, the Mac desktop QuickBooks probably won't run on the operating system for the latest Macs. So you also don't want to be on both QuickBooks, a desktop program and an online program, because they're radically different. They do the same thing, but they do it in a very different way. So if you've learned one program, the other program you're going to have to learn from scratch. It's not like the first one. So she already has one. The restaurant program's all set up. It's working very well. We have a POS system, and I set up a reoccurring sales receipt transaction that is daily, that we put the POS. So we go to the POS screen, and I set the daily sales receipt up. She enters that up. Save and close, goes back to the next recurring sales, and does that. Then the money that when she downloads the deposits in that from the bank and the whole banking stuff, all the deposits are just simply transfers out of the clearing account. The money comes in through the POS, goes into this clearing account, and that's how it gets allocated to whether it's product sales income, whether it's sales tax. And I'm not using the QuickBooks Online sales tax system because that's all in the POS system. And
right.
the
Right.
two of them.
And they're not syncing, you're actually doing the manual transactions.
Right. And I'm not syncing the sales receipt. And I explained to her why. And I explained to her how with the bank feeds are fine. They have really been streamlined and work pretty well. Although she's fully aware of how easily they get quote unquote disconnected. And then she has to go back and reconnect them. But she's gotten very comfortable now with reconnecting them. She's able to do that. So I showed her how I designed the system to take the POS for the day and put it into QuickBooks. And I show her where you have this little check register that shows all the money coming in and then shows all the money going out. And she's understanding it. It makes sense to her. And so now our profit and loss is working well. I'm going to teach her how to reconcile. I've already reconciled October, November, and December. And that's one of the things that is like super powerful in QuickBooks Online is reconciliation. If you've entered your data accurately, it reconciles pretty well. Like I do it, and it's like in 10 seconds, it says it's reconciled, except for I'm off.
When it all works, it works wonderfully. When it doesn't all work, it's a little bit different getting around, but.
Yes, and so I'm going to teach her that next week. But the only thing we have with her is she does things like where she'll pay her money, put it in her personal bank account, and then transfer it into her regular. So we have to know if she gets paid rental income and she puts it in her personal and then transfers it in, we have to know that's rental income.
Right, right,
So,
right.
and that I have to teach her. And she'll probably need me on an ongoing basis to just look it over at the end of every month and say, well, we have like $4,000 of these transfers. What are they all? You know,
Right, right, to keep her straight. And
that's all I explained to her. So
Right.
I'm thinking I can probably either charge her hourly for that or do some kind of a flat rate. And she's got 2 more companies we're going to set up. These little stores where and they'll both be the same. The customer names will be the same. They'll be generic. And
Awesome.
it's
Awesome.
food sales, so there's no tax. There's no
Right.
sales tax on that.
Right.
And then the
Well,
lottery.
speaking of sales tax, I want to get this in before our last 10 minutes are up.
Yes.
We wanted to talk about QBO and sales tax, and Larry's question is on reselling QBO and how does it affect sales tax. And that,
Right.
what you were talking about also, Linda, are SAAS programs sales taxable, and what's the difference whether you're getting reimbursed for it? What do you do when you and your client separate? So first
That I think is probably a lot trickier. I'm very clear with my clients. I let them know that I have a subscription to QuickBooks Online and I'm paying for 5 subscriptions. I don't tell them how much I'm paying. I tell them I'm paying for the top level, which most people are paying individuals are paying $40 a month for. And I think I say I'm paying $25 a month. And I don't tell them that that's for 5 subscriptions. But I tell them I own the subscription right now. And it's my understanding that if they then, and I have to check this out, that if they want to get their own, they might have to start a new data file. And I would work very hard to get them to keep their own data file. I think
so if one of your 5 for 5 clients and you separate, you still maintain that data file and they have to start their own?
Well, yeah, so what I'm wondering, I liked Sarah's idea. So I'm paying $25 for 5 QBO subscriptions. And this woman that I'm working with, this client, is going to have 3 separate businesses on my QBO. So I'm thinking instead of filling in the other 2, I'll leave it the way it is. If she decides at some point, she may not, she may just have me, consult with her every month to make sure these books are accurate. And she does have an outside payroll service doing the payroll, so that's good. We don't have to really do payroll other than what do we categorize it as? And I'm thinking, if I don't add 2 more clients on for the others, or if she starts 2 more businesses, it would all be hers, and she could sign up to become a free QuickBooks Online advisor, and I could somehow pass that subscription over to her. I don't know.
You would have to find out whether Intuit allows that or not.
I know. So, but that's the other thought that occurs to me.
So in the beginning, if you decided to have the client be the owner of that, the 5 for 5, right?
Well, they couldn't own the 5 for 5 unless
Because then they'd be paying into it, and they'd be paying regular price.
Yeah, wholesale. Yeah, that's a type of wholesale plan.
Right.
Hmm. Yeah, seems kind of a sticky situation. I mean, not to be morbid, but what if I got sick and died?
Mhm.
They have.
Larry, honestly, I never thought of it that way, but yeah, you're right.
I mean, that they have all their business data up in that data file, and yet, they're going to want it transferred to them for sure. But
Yeah.
wow, what an ordeal that would be! I think.
I think you're absolutely right.
I think that's worth looking into, because
I can imagine that.
we're all going to be around, and who knows, maybe North Korea can reach California or Seattle.
No.
So
I heard today on one of the news blurbs, I guess it's Russia, they're working on nuclear, the submarines, nuclear underwater torpedoes or whatever. Can you imagine nuclear?
Wow.
Oh man,
We
everything's
didn't already have nuclear torpedoes. That surprises me.
We have nuclear subs, but he's talking about the
Yeah,
bomb.
he's talking about the weaponized.
The weaponizing that would destroy the oceans.
that'd be,
Yeah.
oh, you
That's
could
way
really
different than on land.
animals in the
Carry a big
ocean.
stick. Carry a big stick.
Whoa.
I
That
don't
is a
know.
scary
Well,
thought.
back to QBO. I think as a practitioner, I don't know. Back in the day when I had Creative Solutions and write-up software, and we used that tool to write up all of our clients' work. Clients didn't have access to that. That was ours. So,
Right.
and then desktop,
Yeah.
it's ours. And then we do this QBox thing and we start sharing. Okay. The QBO thing still is an odd concept to me, because when you have too many fingers in the pie.
Well, it could belong to not either you or the client. It could belong to Intuit.
Well,
Yeah.
that's another concept. So I don't know, this idea that we're going to do your bookkeeping, we're going to do a full charge, we do everything accounting, you feed us the information, blah, 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 but we're going to invite you in, and then they don't know where we are with as far as us being finished, or so I don't know. I'm not at the QBO point yet, so I haven't quite thought it through, but I can imagine this just a tool that I'm going to use in house. I don't have to invite anybody. But then again, if they're trying to run a business, maybe they want to see their bank account, but can I keep mucking it up?
I want my clients to be able to have access to their database at all times.
Right.
Now, whether they can make changes or not, that's a different story.
Can we lock them out? Can we just let them view and print? So then, so if they're on my wholesale plan, because I'm going to do bookkeeping for 5 clients, and that's a deal and a half, and take advantage of it while I can. If something happens to me,
Right.
and they've been, well, I'm all set up with, I've got a husband and officers and staff, I'm protected, we've got procedures if I get hit by a truck, believe it or not.
Yeah, you're a corporation.
They, but I took one of the biggest clients I have, the bookkeeper just died. Like, just the poor woman just dropped dead. So I got this like a month and a half, almost 2 months later. All of a sudden, they boxed up her office and brought it to me.
Oh.
And oh my gosh, what a nightmare. But anyway, it was supposed to be temporary, and that was 20 years ago. But it was a real eye opener. But I can imagine that if you invite in the client to their QBO file, then Intuit at least has a record
Of them or something.
them. I'm sure legally there's a
And
way
couldn't
to
we
get
do
that
something
data.
with backup? But then again, you're backing up to the same file. If you could back up to a separate place.
It's an odd, this whole SAS model is really,
Doesn't it seem like this is really something that, I mean, Intuit should really spell out how
Well, they may not want to
how they
spell
would
it out.
deal with something like this, you know?
right. But
And
they've
what
made it so
happens when they
difficult.
raise the price? They get tired of giving you 5 for 5. All of a sudden, you're $25 for each one. You're,
Yeah.
you know, what does that do to your model? That you're.
Yeah. Don't bank on the 25 for 5. Don't bank on it.
No.
Because you
Take
can
advantage of it while you can, but budget. Go ahead and budget what the true wholesale
Right.
price would be. I would think.
You can
Yeah.
see how it's going now. I mean, their developers do something in the middle of the night, and the next day you wake up and
It's like that with desktop too, because there's new versions every year, and then there's maintenance releases that you actually have to decide or have. But then there's other releases that you don't know about that
Right.
come in over the, like you said, at night. They come in the
They
next
come
morning.
in and all of a sudden you got things in your to be paid file, and how did it get there?
They
You're
push.
attached to another app, and the Intuit didn't tell the vendors that the API changed, and oh my gosh.
So
Transaction
software is fun,
didn't
huh?
Pardon?
Software is fun.
I think that's
Tell me
something.
about it. Tell me about it. With my TBX, every time a release comes out, I'm like, wait for the phone to ring. So, mine's a real simple program. I can't imagine something like TPI or these other programs that are really complex. It's just like,
Right.
because I extract information. I don't put information in.
Right.
Any program that will put information into QuickBooks, man.
That's a little scary. Yeah. Well, I think
So
they were touting all the wonderful parts, and I think now that we're actually into it, things are popping its ugly heads up.
well, and I'm going to definitely get this client on backup software, so she has backups.
Oh, even with QBO, yeah.
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 And I will actually talk to her if she wants to put Windows on one of her Macs, and she wants to put QuickBooks for Desktop on one of her Macs. We should do that soon.
You need to talk her out of that.
But I'm going to let her know that it's real different, and
Well, I think
we have them all in there.
I have a
when
question
add
before we
Sarah's
go.
idea of just buying a Windows laptop, a cheap little Windows laptop, and
I suggested that, but she really wasn't interested. So.
doesn't want Windows at all. Don't bring one into her house.
Well, no, it's just like, oh no, I don't think so. So she's not super computer literate. And part of it is she has 3 teenage children, 2 boys and a girl, and all of them use all of the Mac computers in the house. I don't know whether you're aware, but the more users you have on a computer, you have to go in, you really should sign in as yourself, and they don't.
Of course not. They're family.
Jump on, and so one of them goes to Google Chrome, one of them goes to Safari, and they're signing on as each other all the time. And so all the bookmarks and that are for the other person, and they get lost in the shuffle. So,
If there's,
so my
I
thought,
don't know enough about setting up, but if you could set up a user, like I know one of my gals, well, we got them on laptops now, but when she was using her home computer to work, Mark helped her set up a username just for work, and her kids can't find QuickBooks. They can't find.
That's the way it should be. Actually, I recommend that you have a separate computer altogether from your family.
Yeah, that's
You're
probably
cheap enough now that,
kids going online, they can get viruses real easily. Yeah.
Right. All righty. Well, that was a quick half hour. We're a little bit over today too. So
perfect.
See you same time, same place next week.
Yeah, what's next week? The 9th.
The 9th. Yes.
Alrighty.
Ooh, I'm talking to Randy Johnson on the 9th.
Randy
from he's awesome.
Can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah, he's awesome. We chatted after Scaling New Heights, and he said give him a call when I had my program ready and see if he had some ideas.
Good.
Nice.
So
bless you. I don't know if that was Dennis or Larry.
Sorry, excuse me.
Wasn't me.
Bless you, Dennis. Or I'm sorry, Larry. All righty, we're going to end for today. See you all next week. Same time, same place.